Yes, some of you. Goodness. Okay. Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited that you're here. Couple of things about why I'm doing this workshop. This is part of my certification for an acute trauma release workshop with bbtrs. It's a little bit different than I've talked to some of you about how much I love bbtrs, biodynamic breathwork trauma release system. It's a big name for pretty much the most amazing work that I've ever encountered. I'm gonna cry when I say that. But anyway, I signed up for this workshop partially because it was an opportunity to work with P10 and bbtrs, but also because they do work with refugees. So it was sort of the perfect fit for me. So I just want to sort of frame it because we're not here with acute trauma today. So there are things that I'm kind of maybe trimming a little bit. So P10 over here has acute trauma, traumatic events. The other thing that I need to say is that we're all familiar with Central Grace. So some of the steps that I would normally do in the acute trauma workshop to get people acclimated, I feel like I can sort of, shorten a bit. We've all done breath work here, retreats here. Just kind of put that out there because I think it really makes a difference. P10 founded this organization or this movement over 20 years ago. It's pretty cool. And it's in a ton of countries. Yeah, we've been doing it for a really long time. It's spreading. There's people doing it in so many different languages. And even in the workshop that I was in, for nationalities that were represented. So I feel honored to share it with you. Yeah, let's start. Okay. So it also, bbtrs in general just draws from a lot of research-based modalities, a lot of which we all already know and practice. So I feel like he's pushed them all, pulled them all together, the best of the best, and come up with this workshop format that is really helpful in releasing things that we store in our bodies, which we've all been trying to work on. So it's a very useful tool. And even though we're not here with acute trauma, the tools, I use these tools. I use these tools as part of my meditation almost every day. I love some of the things that we share with you. So hopefully it'll be helpful. What does he incorporate? Okay, meditation, touch, sound, polyvagal, emotional release, somatic processing, physical therapy, massage, like everything. All of the best practices that I've studied so far. It's also, just because we do breath work here at Central Grace, it is a gentler approach to using the breath in our body to release trauma. We're not going to be doing any mouth-mouth breathing. The goal is to soothe our nervous system and not to overly activate them. They will get activated. That shaking is going to really activate. It's a great feeling. But we kind of have some tools to work with that, so it's not quite as activating as what we normally do here. And let's see. Okay, so we're going to start actually with a little grounding activity. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Bring attention to your physical body. Shift awareness to your felt sensation. What do you feel in your body as you're taking the breaths? And again, we're going to go in through our nose and out through our mouth. Notice any bodily sensations that come up as the breath flows. Could be just body, maybe vibration. Notice anything in your physicality. When you're ready, I invite you to notice your feet connected to the ground. Really feel into that. Part of this process involves felt sense, really feeling what's in the body. Feel it. What do you feel when your feet push down into the ground? When you shift from foot to foot, notice what that feels like in your body. Take another deep breath. In through your nose, out through your mouth. When you're ready, the last thing that we're going to focus is your eyes. And again, this is important, especially for people that don't feel safe in a new space. And then when you have you look around and notice. For us, it's what we love. For others, it might be the exit door or the safe space that we created in the corner with a co-facilitator, or Renee's room with me, whatever it is in this room, the color of the walls. Something that maybe that will ground us if we need that. And again, as you look around, I also want you to notice when you found something to really look at. How does it feel? When I look at it, how does it feel? So the next thing that we're going to do is take a look around the room, which is also used for orienting to the space, but also to each other. I was telling some of you earlier that they were calling it a Zen walk, and because that had a connection to religion, at least with the Ukrainian refugees, they changed it to tranquility walk or grounding walk. And basically, we're just going to take an opportunity to walk around the room, and again, take in our surroundings, take in each other, but staying with ourselves. So felt sense is way more important. It's more of a horizontal gaze kind of thing. Feeling, very important again, because it helps with felt sense. Maybe balancing foot to foot. You can really feel this feeling. This is feeling. I can see Vicky here. It feels good. So yes, felt sense. What are we feeling in our body as we do it? Obviously, this is a beautiful thing. Very familiar. Good. All right. Just know while you're walking that this is a safe space. Observe your feelings as you're walking. It doesn't have to be in a circle if you want direction. I invite you to stand up when you're ready. And take a short tranquility walk. And slow. Eyes open. Really paying attention to your surroundings. And when you gaze at something, how do you feel in your body? How do you feel when your foot touches the ground? And when you shift your weight?
Same breath. Open nose down.
Notice how the light comes in. Beautiful candles. Smell. People. And when you're ready, I invite you to take a deep breath in through your nose. Breathe out. So now that we've oriented to our surroundings and feel comfortable in the space, hopefully, I'm going to get a little bit more information about it. Upcoming are my 3 favorite parts. Wish I could do it with you. Sorry. I practiced all day though, if it's any consolation. Okay, so basically we are going to do a shaking meditation. And I purposely am not cutting this short because I really, in our practice, or at least one of our practices, we did have a 5-minute short, and I've been doing it for the full length, and it's a very beautiful practice. It's a challenging practice. We're going to start with a 15-minute shaking, and I will demo it, and we'll talk about how to do it in a little bit. But it is really, it starts at the feet, and your knees should be slightly bent the entire time. And one of the things I'm going to say is the energy starts to come. It's very activating. Shaking is very activating. But stick with the shaking and don't follow the energy flow. We're going to get to that. So we're really going to build it with the shaking, but then we're going to do 15 minutes of unwinding. And unwinding is where you're moving. You can stand it, just stick with the shaking until we come back. It's a quick switch. It goes right into unwind, which is kind of cool. And then after the 15 minutes of unwinding, which is literally moving the energy that you just brought up, we go into a meditation. And the meditation, there's two parts to the meditation. The first part of the meditation is a little bit and a song, but then the second part is you just witnessing yourself. And it's for yourself, which is also yeah. And then we'll come back together and talk about it. So, please. But before we go into it, one of the things that's very important to bbtrs practice is resourcing. So I have to introduce that before we start. So a resource is anything that you can use. I don't need to look at these because really I feel strongly about it anyway. It's anything that you can use that helps you feel safe. Anything in your environment or inside of yourself that you can use that's going to help you feel safe when you're activated or just out and about in life. Resourcing is a really good practice. For the acute trauma workshop, we use an external resource because a lot of the people coming in are so traumatized. They're not. I used to be this way. Those of you guys didn't know me that. Couldn't feel anything. There was no way I was going to find any safe space in my body. Obviously, people with trauma have a similar. They might be numb, and they might be, in a different fleeing from the situation. But I'm going to talk about both because I think that we can use both, and we do anyway. We call it different things, right? So if you're familiar with SRI, which we all are, to me it's like Donny Epstein's place of peace. Right? It's really a very similar thing. We identify in our body a place of peace. For this workshop, when we start with an external, we start with an external. You're just going to look around the room and find something that might have that effect on your body. Like for me, I just look at that beautiful statue. Yeah, I really take it in. The next step is, though, I can say that makes me feel good and safe. Feel it. I want you to look at it. I want you to, this felt sense is so important in this work. When you find that thing that you're going to use as your external resource, you want to use it to discover what that feels like, what safety feels like in your body. And some other examples of external resources could be, like I said earlier, it could be the window to get out of here. It could be, they set up a safe mattress area in these workshops for people. It could be the sound of my voice. It could be, people bringing a stuffed animal, like you had said, possibly, people bringing something, a ring. Because these are things we can use these external resources in our life every day. If you can connect again to that feeling, really, it's a very useful tool. So we're going to do that. But I also think I want to take a minute to find out. I think we've all done enough work. We also need an internal resource. And an internal resource, unlike Donnie, where you're looking in 3 spaces, right? An internal resource is anywhere in your body that feels slightly better than the rest. It's a struggle sometimes, right? So it may be, if your body's in a lot of pain, you said a lot of pain, where in your body is there less pain? That might be the resource. That one area. So if I was saying to you, if we were doing a real bbtrs session, I said, I want you to find an internal resource. It might be where the least of them, right? For me, usually it's a place that feels good in my body. If I can go in and actually identify what feels, maybe for others it might be less constricted, more relaxed. That might be your internal resource. And what we do throughout this practice, and he does it in the full bbtrs as well, is something called pendulation. And what we do is, when we get activated, instead of doing our crazy what we like to do here, instead we pendulate back to our place of peace. Because the goal is not to overcharge the nervous system. The goal is to soothe the nervous system. And it's a very useful practice and very helpful. So we're going to use pendulation, and I'm going to encourage you as well during the practices. If it feels like too much, I would try pendulating back to that resource before you decide I need to go out there or to rest on the mat or whatever it is that might, that you think might feel better, or go back to your regular breath and then go back to shaking when you feel ready. It's always a choice. But sometimes the resource will help with that activation in the process. The other thing before we do it, yeah, I just want to mention also that sometimes during the shaking, besides resourcing, if energy gets stuck, like we can visually see where it is a little bit stuck, there is occasionally, now bbtrs, if I was a regular with hands-on bbtrs practitioner, would definitely be touching the practice. In this acute trauma practice, there is not touch. I'm not licensed to touch you. However, sometimes I will put my hand on an arm or something. There's a spot in your body where the energy is not moving. Usually I can see it and I know you feel it. But if you, I think to establish just what ground rules, again, safety is part of taking people in a space. If you don't want to be touched, you can just put a hand up like that. And also with that said, because we normally have an assistant, if you feel like you actually need help, right, just put a finger and help. I mean, because if you're unable to deactivate and it's building so much, and I don't anticipate that happening because of the way we do the breath and it all comes together so nicely. But I just want to make sure that you know that there are things that you can do to get help, and there's things that you can do to say no. That's just a very important. So for now, I'm going to have you just close your eyes. Well, actually, we're going to do external first. So take a look around the room. See if you can look, please. Normally, you sleep found it. I think you found it. I want you to try to breathe with it. If it touches anything inside, and if it doesn't, then look for another one. And sometimes if you can't feel it, then you can move it. A tree is pretty, it makes me feel good. You might be telling yourself. Because again, there are people that don't have that same ability. So if you think you found something externally, I'm going to have you look at it and take a deep breath in. With your nose, not feeling it. Both sides. And you can know that. You can do the same thing for an inside resource, but for me, I usually have to shut my eyes. Again, it's personal choice. And maybe scan your body and see if you can find things in your body that feels better than your mouth. And what does that better feel? Notice the impact of what it feels like when you try to take down the resource, or not, if it was mine, no, if that's okay. And you want me to invite you to come back if you want this. Stay with that resource, whatever it is. And this would be a really good opportunity before you get into those three practices, if anybody needs a bio. You know, after a minute or two, if anybody can see. The one thing I want to say about that is if you do go into the bathroom, there's a phone, bring the resource with you. If nobody's going, it's a non-issue, but I still think I need to say it because that's the perfect first step. So I know carry this with you out there. So it's really, you know, they take a longer break during the workshops, and people learn how to bring it, even if it's an external thing, but the feeling, and they'll go back into it. So we need to go. I'm gonna shake for 15 minutes. Okay. Okay. I am on 6. All right. So I just want to explain a little bit about shaking. We're going to do it for 15 minutes. Basically, shaking is going to, like I said, your knees going to be bent the entire time. You're going to allow your body to relax. You can have open or closed eyes. The music just totally lends to it. So you're going to begin to vibrate from your knees, and you're going to let it move up. And the only movement is going to be up. So the vibration should be up. As tempting as it is, I'm just going to demo it, but I'm also going to talk a little bit at the beginning. The only movement, I shouldn't have worn such baggy pants, is from my knees. But what eventually happens is your body does start to follow, but not like this. We're not dancing. It's still, the energy is moving up. There is no question about where the energy is going. And sometimes the rest of your body, I remember feeling a little self-conscious, my hands moving so much, I'm like, am I moving them too much? But it's still horizontal. It's still going up. Vertical. Yeah, it's still vertical. It's still, so like I'm not moving them like this, which we will do next. That'll be part of the unwinding practice. What may start to happen is your head will bounce. And if your head bounces, that's okay, but make sure it's only bouncing as a yes. Right? Because that is, it may follow. It doesn't always follow, but it may follow. I encourage you to let it follow a little. But that's it. I'm basically doing it, and we're going to do that for 15 minutes. May I take a break? Absolutely. I think I might be. Okay. Bio break. Can we pause that? Or
so we do it. I think so, yeah.
We do it standing. Yeah, now the questions that come up at our workshop, but about people that are in wheelchairs and stuff, and I mean, it is possible. And they did walk us through how you could do it with people that are not otherwise. But it's a stand. I did that. I love this. Okay. So the shaking is going to release tension from the body. We're made up of 70% water. Shaking allows us to release tension and brings more fluidity and energetic flow. I said before, it's used by many other cultures. I know in Indonesia, in Africa, animals use it to complete, right? They'll shake after to shake off danger. So it can be a natural way of discharge. I know you asked about like that, but sometimes it's a positive energy that's coming up and not necessarily trauma. I thought Gitan, and one of the things I listened to, he pointed out something that was so interesting to me. Like, oh, I should cry. Like in our culture, like after a car accident, what do? They never give us an opportunity to discharge. They'll either give you a tranquilizer, a warm blanket on your chest. Like we are never given the opportunity to frickin' let the shit out. And so it totally makes sense to me why this feels so good. Yeah, I mean, I don't have current acute trauma, but it's just, the practice is something that I think we can all benefit from. Yeah.
We never complete the stress cycle.
We don't ever complete the stress. And so this is a great way to sort of find what's still in there and activate it. And then next step is unwinding and we move it through. Yeah. So, and of course we know about meditation, what meditation does. So for the unwinding, that's going to be very different. Instead, our knees, doesn't matter what our knees do because they're probably going to move. It's going to come from the core. We'll go right into it and I'll guide you, but it's extremely slow. It is not ecstatic dance. Once the energy comes up, it's sort of an undulating, moving from your core, and I'll guide you a little initially, but it's slow, like this is fast, like just energy is not here right now, so it's a little bit harder for me to do, but it's going to be circular, undulating movement with you're following your energy. There is absolutely no right or wrong. The only thing that I would say is that hit every single part of your body. No one's looking. We probably all have our eyes closed, actually. You don't have to. And the music and just the buildup of the shaking just lends itself to it. It's, yeah, I barely use words, but I'll walk into it maybe too. Okay. I'm gonna start the shaking. So I'm gonna have you guys stand up, and there's gonna be 3 shaking songs. Okay, awareness to your feet. Stand right on the ground. Oh, you can put it over. Okay. Remember that you want your knees slightly bent the whole time. And you're going to allow your body to relax. Open or closed eyes. And you're going to begin to vibrate or shake from your knees. Vibration will rise. Let it move from the ground up. And we'll do that still looking. Just one more demo. I'm starting at the knees. They're slightly bent. Rest of my body is round up. Direction. Straight up from the knees bent, but again, not ecstatic dance. Ecstatic dance. Of course, the movement. Breath. Arms. We are not in those arms yet. Don't force the movement. Let the body take over. Remember, we're trying to release the charge from the system. Energy moves up from the knees, high. This. That's, yeah, knees slightly bent. Vertical. Energy's moving up. Let's make sure it's a yes. vibration you can reach it down. Maybe a little sound. Thing, shake, bring it up and down. Get the vibration. Shoulders. Yeah, voicing it. Feet flat on the ground. Breaking every rule. That's fine. Knees back, knees flat. Vibration up. Surrender to the vibration. Put a hand to the palms of stillness. So we're gonna begin unwinding. The unwinding is gonna begin at the core. And basically, you're gonna move very slowly. Really slowly. It starts at the core. The spine. Guide you a little. Sharing with you that it's not morning. Maybe imagine your leg is a piece of seaweed being moved by the waves. Move the energy to every single part of your body. Circular, any direction. Follow your energy flow. Very slowly. Soft. Undulate. Move. Super slowly. Through all of your joints. Energy flow. Right. Force anything? Pelvis. And that way up the pelvis to the spine. From the pelvis up to the feet. Can you open your mouth? Make sure you're incorporating your head. Do not neglect any part of the slow. Slow. Play with them. Play with this. See how different it feels when you have enough breath as a current. Moving just from the inside. All of this comes from the inside. If you're forcing it from the outside, try to move it from the inside out. Completely surrender to the flow. Slowly with the flow of energy. Play with the skin limits. Up it down. Hold the floor here. So this originating at the core. Up the spine. Conjuring. Moving in a circle. Out the energy. Whoa. Treat every single joint, every single part of your body. Your jaw, your head. Maybe these circles. Energy is a beautiful warm wave. Body wants to go is okay. It's doing great. You wrote your reasons. Take a break. Or just like. Make sure you reach and restate. Head. Surrender to I invite you to gradually come to stillness and feel what's present for you right now. Conversation and then easy. Back on the chair. Bring awareness again to your feet, so you kind of reorient them to the room. Really good pelvis in the chair. Awareness of your breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose, out through the mouth, no interruption. Imagine the breath filling the lungs from the bottom up to the solar plexus, up to the clavicle, and out of the top. The invitation to breathe elongated breaths in half circles. Half is the inhale, and half is the outhale. Exhale. Equal amount of time for the inhale as there is for the exhale. In through the nose. Through the mouth. Active breath. Notice if there's still some movement and just allow it. Put all of your attention on the flow of the breath, in and out. Elongated, in half a circle, out. Keep following the gentle, sacred breath. Your attention in and out. Nose. Breathe. And then you shift your attention to your inner world. Witness your body. Notice any and all felt sensation. Just observe it as it is. Begin to shift awareness to the surroundings slowly and gently. You recognize just the breath. Notice just the space around you first. Maybe the blanket near you. Maybe the color of the floor. Maybe the smell of the room. Maybe put your hands together. Maybe your hands or put your body. Yes, taste in the mouth. Swallow. You jaw. You're ready. Slowly and gently. Not with the other faces in you. So, what was that like for you? Anybody? Ah, mhm.
No, it feels like the words haven't come yet. Wow. Amazing. Probably on about 8 times.
Same.
Yeah.
I think that's it's hard to put it, you know,
Mhm.
with longer exercises.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm used to that.
Holidays.
Yeah, the big sort of exercises make you do that. And then when you are certainly stimulating big stuff and all that. So, but yeah, that was amazing. I
And
love it.
like good, huge yawns.
Yeah, yeah.
Huge shots. That is great.
It's almost like a full body, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of like, yeah, you
The old
feel it.
man yawn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could certainly feel the tension. Like when we first started jumping, vibrating vertically, like 2 minutes into it, I felt this like pressure just come right up my neck, and there I must have had some tension in here, and it just released.
It's supposed to loosen the tension. It is
Yeah,
supposed
loosen
to
it right
loosen
up. It's amazing. That caught me off guard.
Huh.
But yeah, it was amazing how I building the energy like that and then just moving it out feels so good. You know, and then the meditation, breathing with meditation, yeah, perfect. Nothing like it. But anyways, releases. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
The shaking helps so very in the shoulders.
I think that's my most favorite. Sometimes I do that without the unwinding,
Yeah,
because it, for me, activates also.
yeah.
I'm ready to start the day.
Yeah.
When I move the energy like that, I love it, you know?
So what does your meditation, your personal meditation practice look like now that you kind of have it?
Well, it's different every day. It really is, yeah. I would say. I do a lot of this. Time varies. I do meditate like that. But I think it depends. Because if I feel, you know, like with Lawrence, when we do like the whole body scan thing, like sometimes I need to start there. Sometimes it doesn't. I'm not in a place to start here. So it's just varies. You know, it's different. I can't do the same thing. Huh.
I think I felt with the shake, when you were saying that the energy moves up, I felt like I almost getting a little heartburn, like the digestion, because I have food in my stomach, was, I feel like I was getting a little bit of heartburn, and I wonder if that was just something that's kind of a little bit. It went away, but it's interesting that everything's, wow.
Yeah.
And you said you're not pain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Was it good? Who's that? That was- okay, that's one of the weeks.
Hmm.
And then once we started moving the energy up through, like I could feel all my body relax, all my muscles, everything.
I don't know about you, but like when I was telling you to slow down, I was playing with it, and I can really feel the difference
Mhm.
when I move slowly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Feel so much more.
Mhm.
It's such a good practice for me, because you guys know me, I'm like Speedy Gonzalez. It's very good.
No, no.
Yeah, I love it.
Things I feel like you skip over, it's like moving too fast, you're skipping past something that needs to be felt.
Really, the goal is to hit on every single ounce of our being. Beautiful. Yeah. About you, Tyson.
I thought it was amazing. Like I was thinking, that I need to do this every day.
I know.
But both those movements, like both
Yeah.
the up and down, and
Mhm. Even if you like, if I can not time short on, I didn't want to huge, but it's incorporated.
I would love to do this more. Like I think I was still exploring during the thing. Like I was trying different. It was evolving. Like during the whole thing. The beginning it was more, technical. I was trying to like move this, and at the end I'm like moving my soul and like all these inner stuff was like coming. I'm like whoa, and then I played trying to be the movement, like trying to let it just completely flow and just not even control it with my mind, but just let go and see what sort of wild thing happened. It was awesome. Yeah. There was more happening through it. Like I heard someone going through something, and then and I'm like, oh man, and I started to feel something too. I don't know who it was, but it was great that whoever did that did that, because then I was like, oh wow, it's you. I had some stuff right here that I want to come. So it was great. Thank you.
Mhm. Hope you got my voice recorded there, Tyson.
It's getting even grounded in this, because I'm getting grounded. Recording.
Border.
Joking.
I joke. What about you? What came on? What did you think?
A lot came up for me. Overall, it was absolutely beautiful and very unexpected. I honestly didn't really know what to expect. And on my drive down here, so I drove from Watertown, my life is crazy right now. So in the car, like to me, it's kind of meditative. So I already started, not on purpose, but something just came up. So I already started releasing before, so I knew I was gonna cry. That was me. I don't know, maybe you were crying.
No.
I could. So, yeah, I wasn't really sure what to expect. Just let it go. Be with this and let it go. And when we were walking around initially, doing like a mindful,
Mindful walk.
the mindful walk. I'm feeling my body. Oh, okay. And my shoulders, like my arms weren't moving. I felt like I was just so stiff. And I don't know if it was because of what I was doing all day or sitting in the car or what, but especially like my right shoulder, and it's still stiff. Both of them are still stiff, but I thought that was really interesting because I wasn't expecting that. Like I'm pretty limber, so that was odd. And then what did we do next? Oh, So the
Shaking.
shaking thing. So the shaking thing is really cool. And I've done something like that before, but as you're like laying down, it's easier for me to do it standing up. I've never tried it standing up like that before, so that was really cool. But I also felt like I couldn't get my shoulders to move. And I kept opening my, everybody else, your shoulders were moving, mine weren't. So, and when I was doing it on purpose, I felt like I'm like, oh, I'm just this goof. Like, what am I doing? You know, like I was forcing it. And what really hit me was when we started, when you were telling us to like do the undulation. Let's start from your core. Every time I was mindful of it starting here, like I could feel it. I could feel the energy come up, and all of a sudden I'm like, "Whoa," twice I gagged. And I was like, okay, just slow down. So I wasn't doing that on purpose, by the way, because I just felt like it was too, like I just needed to like do something a little bit slower and just sort of touch base. Because I was going back to resource, which is in here for me. But sometimes, yeah, I don't know. I just like it got to me, and I was like, all right, fine. So I tried to let it go without interrupting.
Well,
You didn't have to leave.
Yeah.
Like,
It helps everybody.
yeah,
Because like you have confidence to do that. We love it because we all have that too. We're all that. Right? We're all you. We're all us.
Well, part of me too, I didn't want to, I felt like I was back doing one of the other breathwork classes, you know, I'm like, tears coming down my face. So I wanted to go outside and be on the grass and be in the air, just to like bring myself back to center so I could come in, because I felt like I wasn't getting the full extent. Like I couldn't even listen to what you were saying because I was like too into releasing my own thing and in my head. But yeah.
Oh, and I panicked, but yeah, I mean, because there's only one of me. Yeah, but
You did go out?
I just, I didn't go
Oh.
out. I knew, because you told
I
me, you told me
didn't
you
at
need,
all.
and so I asked you.
Oh. Yeah,
Do you
here.
remember that? Yeah.
Yes.
That you take care of yourself. Yeah. That's what you came right back at it. Yeah, it's amazing. Anybody else? Good, anything else?
I thought it was just a cool way to build the energy in the body, and it's just a different practice. Sometimes we're going into our subtle bodies, and you're really just hyper focusing on these small parts. But this kind of, it's like the subtle, like it focused you in on the subtle body as a whole instead of like such finite little areas. It's more like buzzing in my feet, and like total third eye activation, something scratching me on the forehead, yeah, so I just felt like a lot of like build up. I thought that like I wanted to do more shaking and like get faster at it.
Yeah, I do it. I just do it quite fast.
Yeah.
I do it fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about
So just keep bringing. I can, the idea of self keep going back to that. Just keep stay.
yeah.
I love the whole.
And then once you stop, it's such a cool sensation, just like every cell kind of felt alive in my body, from the in out. I love that tingly, oxygenated feeling. And then the movement was really cool. I have a couple funky places going on in my body, but yeah, it's interesting that we can talk about these subtleties and grandiosities just within like each one of our forms. It's always just baffling to me that we can go from, just describing what we experience. It's so cool. And then the meditation, I was in deep. But I mean, I love meditation. That's my thing. So any little trick to do to get you in that deep, like no body, no time, no pain kind of place. I was having a hard time coming back. I could stay there.
Me too. Huh.
Mm.
Yeah. So the only other thing, at the beginning, normally we do introduction, and I know I skipped that part, I didn't sort of acknowledge that, but we kind of know each other. But I was actually on these cards that I didn't use, going to at least, might be bright, but that one try, can you dim it? Whatever, I was going to at least do, I had kind of thought in my brain, okay, we don't need to introduce ourselves because we all know each other mostly, pretty well in the space. But what I was gonna do, and I skipped it, sorry, was just say our name and what we were arriving here with. That was sort of my tweak for, a lot of groups, we know who's in our group, right? And we know each other pretty, people that come to our classes, oftentimes we all know each other. So I just thought I would, we would each say our name, just say what we were arriving with. The goal with the introductions for like the refugees is to not get super activated. They're not taking 5 minutes each to tell their story of escaping from the Ukraine. Basically, they can start a little, because it also builds connection with people in the room that have shared experience. But they really gave us some tools for sort of deactivating. And maybe we'll talk about that later after we've done some of it's really just what brought you here. Well, my family and I, it's a mood, right? They're not going blah, 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 the guns were behind me. But so my tweak was just gonna be, what am I? What are we arriving here with? And I was arriving with gratitude for all of you. And a little bit of not wanting to let everybody down. Maybe you won't love it as much as I do. So the next thing that we do just before people would leave a workshop is I have to mention, he calls it homework. But like you guys were saying, like incorporating maybe this into some of our practices, maybe going home and doing shaking, or maybe going home and doing the unwinding, or the idea of resourcing. I use that all the time. I know where it is, and I can find it in my body when I need it. So that's another thing that you can take away from here as homework. And then they usually have some sort of closing ritual, right? Like namaste or whatever. He stopped doing that because I think it was the whole just connection. But I thought we should close with what we do at the tree. The bamboo. Forest. So I thought show you
First in the bamboo forest.
I just took a picture and I sent it to Renee actually.
Yeah.
I did, because I was so excited, I actually found a bamboo forest.
Okay, so everyone go towards the center.
Shoulder to shoulder, wedged in really tight. The idea is that we will lean on each other.
Let's do E.
You guys. And then they always end with community building because they're all recently arrived. So they try to either tell them when the next workshop is, which they don't charge for, by the way. So all of the money that I paid for this workshop is going towards supporting those workshops, which makes my heart feel good. But the last piece is community, which we are so lucky because we already have a community. This is our bamboo forest. Ooh, that's too fast. I don't know if they can even see that, but this is a beautiful place that we have. So we already have a beautiful community and space, but I don't know. I probably messed that up big time. What's the camera? But yeah, so they end with a little bit of that and like phone numbers if they have them already, or at least that's also which I think is a cool. It's also part of the whole biggest nerve thing, right? Community. I didn't realize that. I
So,
learned that
yeah.
from him.
Yes.
I didn't learn that. I didn't even know that. I always thought it was more like what we did with you, the
Social
exercise.
engagement.
Social engagement is also very important. So it's connecting them to each other, which we're lucky that we have each other. Fucking nuts.
Stop it.
Yeah, well, fucking nuts.